Well, hi everyone. Welcome to this special live broadcast being brought to you by DNO and featuring Father Nigel Karam of the Roseau Cathedral. He's the Dean of the Roseau Cathedral. And the reason we're here today is because, we have been promoting a fundraising effort of the Roseau Cathedral, which has been going on for some time now. And we've been getting some good feedback from the public. But some people are not quite sure of all the information that has been put out so far, and I know a lot of information has gone out with regard to what's happening, here at the cathedral, the work that's taking place, the fundraising efforts that have been taking place, and why it's being done. And so we thought that because of all the questions that were being raised, we would ask Father Nigel Karam to come and share with us in as detailed a manner as he possibly can what's been happening here at the cathedral, why the work is being done, how much money has been raised, what is left to be done, why all the difficulty, the long delay in getting the project completed, and so on. So we'll be talking about that. But we just wanted to give you a sense as to what the outside of the cathedral looks like, and so we will then go into the building where we will be talking with Father Karam, putting the questions to him, and you will get a sense as to what is happening in the building, the work that has been done, and what needs to be done. So Father Karam and I are going to go in, while our cameraman will give you a sense of what the front of the building looks like, and he will join us inside, and we will continue the live. Okay, Father?
Sure.
All right. Well, welcome back to our viewers. And for those of you who had not had the opportunity to see what the front of the building looks like, the work that has been done, you have not had the opportunity to do that. And as I told you, Father Karam is now going to share with us some of the information that we all want to know, and many people claim that they're not familiar with about the work that has been taking place in the cathedral. First of all, Father Karam, thank you for coming on to DNO and agreeing to do this with us.
Thank you very much, Tim. Thank you for this opportunity to speak to your viewers and to speak to the general public and all those who are viewing and listening. Um, the Cathedral of Our Lady of Fairhaven is an important landmark, and I think many Dominicans would consider a national building. Since 1730, there has been a building on this site, a building for prayer, for worship, where people could find solace, where people could take their concerns, their needs to God. The building was not always this size. In fact, this is probably the third iteration of the church that was on this site since 1730. In fact, the first church on this site was dedicated on the 24th of December, 1730, Christmas Eve. And the church faced east to west, and that door would have been that west door or east door would have been the west door would have been the main entrance, and that main entrance would have gone straight from the church to the jetty, the old jetty that used to be on the bayfront. And so as soon as sailors, as soon as travelers came off the ship, they would walk straight up into the church to give God thanks for a safe arrival, for a safe journey. And so the church itself, the name of the church, in French, of course, at the time, Notre Dame de Bon Port, Our Lady of Fair Haven, really means Our Lady of Safe Harbor. So people find refuge, they find safety, they find a place where they could find healing for their spirit, for their soul, rejuvenation. As I said, this is probably the third or fourth iteration of the church that stands on this present site. In fact, around the site, you had a lot of burial plots. So just like the Anglican church, there was a church, in the churchyard there's a cemetery. There was a cemetery, or there is a cemetery around the building. And so a lot of our ancestors would have been buried all around this building. In fact, one of the most interesting historical sites is that the famous Italian painter Agostino Brunias is supposed to be buried in here. And he is one of those artists who was the artist of the governor at the time of these islands, and he went around with the governor and painted scenes. So a lot of the scenes you see sometimes on the calendars from way back when would have been painted by this gentleman, and he died in Dominica and is buried here. This building holds a lot of historical significance for Dominica, because the facade of the building, as you would have seen, is made of cut volcanic stone from this island. And it would have been put up by people from here. And the three peaks, the three steeples of the cathedral are reminiscent of and speak to Mont Trois-Pitons, those famous three peaks that we have. So the cathedral itself embodies in its structure an indigenous feel, that this is Dominica's cathedral, this is Dominica's national building. Many significant burials would have taken place from here. For example, one of those would have been Sissi Cordero, who is a national icon. Her funeral would have taken place here, and she's buried in the Roseau cemetery. That's just one out of many. Over the years, the building has deteriorated, and specifically when we looked at the roof of the building, that deteriorated to a significant extent because of termite infestation and because of leaks, water. So there was a lot of rot in the timber roof that was on the building. In fact, one of the historical notes, if you go online to Mr. Bernard Lowick's site, is that the Carib or Kalinago people were very instrumental in raising the roof of
Mr. Bernard
this.
Lowick being the engineer who was part of, or he used to be
the engineer
right?
for the diocese.
For the diocese.
Correct.
Okay.
He has a lot of historical data and details about the Roseau Cathedral and the diocese as well. So the roof was the main point of concern for us as the leaders of the church. But in recognizing that the roof needed to be completely repaired, work was also taken to look at the rest of the building. And it was also noted that the building would not have been able to withstand at that time any seismic event. And therefore the entire foundation of the building had to be redone. All the pillars had to be reconstructed. And so over the years, you found that people have noted that the estimates have always kept going up. And yes, because this building is over 100 years old. Or what it was over 100 years old. And so the repairs began in earnest in 2012. There was a lot of fundraising that was done from since maybe 2004, very consistently. But the repairs began in 2012 with the demolition, with the removal of all the items in the church itself. That was considered phase one. And so all the items in the church, and it was a very moving event for the people who were here. It was a very significant community event because the people came together, the people that make up this parish, people from Roseau, Mont Prosper, Loda, Wharton Waven, Trafalgar, and even some from the neighboring parishes as well. And, came in, they packed up the pews, they packed up the images, they packed up the sacristy, the vessels, and they moved everything. And some people even cried when it happened. Some people felt emotional because it was like losing a family member. Because, Mr. Jura, people, I think, sometimes underestimate the value of a sacred space. When you think about it, many children have been baptized here. Many of your viewers watching, their children were baptized. Your parents were baptized here, and then their grandchildren were baptized here. When you think about it, your grandparents were buried from here. Your parents maybe were buried from here. Your wedding took place here, and so on. And so this site has a lot of emotional significance and spiritual significance for the people of Dominica, for most Dominicans and a lot of Dominicans. So that took place, that removal of everything. And then after that happened, then the roof tiles had to be removed. That was a specialized work that was undertaken by a company from Trinidad because the tiles had to be disposed of in a very safe way. Not to cause any contamination around the environment. After that, then the timber roof had to be completely removed. Then the next part of it was the breaking away of the weak foundation and then the building of a new foundation, the demolition of all these pillars, the re-erection of the pillars with structural steel and concrete and so on. A new ring beam had to be done around the building. And then so that cost something. After that, then the roofing system, a steel roofing system was organized and then had to be installed. And so that took a while. That took time. The material had to come into the island. It had to be cleared. It had to be stored for a while. Funds had to be raised. Then it had to be installed. Then after that took place, then the roofing material itself had to be selected and ordered and then installed on top of the steel frame. Then after that phase, then a new concrete pavement over the foundation had to be done. So that was another phase. And then the last phase that took place was the main steeple, because that, of course, as well had to be reinforced for seismic activity. The spire had to be rebuilt and the cross on top repositioned. So basically that encapsulates
all that has been done
all
so
that
far.
has been done so far.
Okay. Now, one of the things that before you continue that people comment on is it has taken. Well, you said the work started in earnest in 2012, so that's 12 years now, right?
Correct.
And one of the questions being asked is, why has it taken so long?
Well, it's taken so long, number one, because of funds needed to be raised. We don't have the capital sitting around to do the work. The funds had to be raised, and fundraising events are not small events. They take a significant amount of work, and sometimes the returns on those events are not what you expect. So that's part of the reason, a significant part of the reason. Remember, in those 12 years, we had two major natural, you can call them disasters. You had Tropical Storm Erica, you had Hurricane Maria. And so each of those, there was a whole year delay, I think, after Hurricane Maria. So those three would be major fundraising, the natural disasters. Of course, sometimes delays in material, in the quantity of material you need, in the fabrication of the material.
Did COVID play any part in that?
Well, COVID played a significant part of that because, thank you for reminding me, because I mean, a lot of people were at home and work couldn't take place, and a significant drop in the disposable income of people. So COVID would have played a role in that delay as well.
Okay, when the project started, what was it estimated to cost? Do you have that information?
When it
Yeah,
started,
in 2004, when you started raising funds, did you have an
well,
idea
I mean,
then as to how much money
at that
would have been
time,
required, for what
I
had
mean,
to be done?
I am a member of this parish, and I live in Roseau, so I was probably, in 2004, I was probably about, what, 24, 25? So, I mean, I didn't pay too much attention to those figures,
Well,
but
I wasn't
it
asking
may
you
have been,
personally. I was asking
but
you from the
it may
church's
have been,
perspective,
it may have been about, I think, $6 million, between $3 to $6 million. It may have been about that.
And so far, how much has been spent?
So far, about 12 million has been spent.
Right. And you need an additional 2.6 million US dollars, right?
Correct.
Okay.
So that's about 7 million EC dollars.
All right. And I would
Correct.
imagine that a number of factors that have affected, the cost, because the cost of materials, keep going up, and other factors. Let's speak to that.
Well, yes, I mean, the cost of materials has gone up significantly because of international situations like the wars, supply chain problems. So yes, so those have gone up. And I guess, well, everybody's speaking about tariffs now, so I'm not sure how that is going to affect the cost of materials. I'm sure it may. So materials in those 12 years certainly have played a role in the cost of this. Let me try to give you a little breakdown of the cost of the work that was done. So, as I indicated, the first major part of this work was the specialized work of removing the roofing tiles. That cost the church $930,298.50. Right? Then the demolition. Remember, this is no work happening, and this is money being spent. Right? No work. This is just removal. So the demolition of the old roof, that cost $2,376,913.88. So I'm giving you these figures. Some of them are approximate, some of them are accurate, are very accurate. The structural steel, the whole steel roofing system, cost $1,325,685 approximately. The installation of the new roofing system, so all the new roofing tiles and so on. The total cost of that was $4,061,851. So $4,061,851, right? The reinforced concrete flooring, this pavement, after the foundation was done, a new pavement had to be done for the cathedral itself, and that cost $986,178.94. Currently, we are looking at the shutters, hurricane shutters for the building, and people have donated. Some people have donated to individual shutters, and that is going to cost us about $300 for those hurricane shutters. The retrofitting of the bell tower and the placement of the new spire was approximately $1,005,309, right? So those are some of the figures. So you see, this is a huge building. This is not a regular home, right? And if a regular home can cost $300,000 to build, imagine this building, all right? And all the other things that have to happen with a building of this size, the amount of concrete, the amount of steel, the lumber that is necessary. And of course, the diocese uses the assistance of consultants, and therefore those also have their fees that have to be paid. Let me give you a little rundown of how much funds we have collected over the years. So a lot of people ask about, well, how come Rome isn't doing anything? How come the Vatican isn't doing anything? We have received approximately $2.7 million from overseas donations. That is including the Vatican, as people want to say, or the different agencies of the Vatican. That includes from the United States, different dioceses and organizations in the United States, and individual congregations as well. In terms of local revenue, and I want to say this, I really want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to all the people who have donated generally, but I want to say thank you to the people of Dominica and the Catholics who have really generously given to this project over the years. Let me say this to you, Mr. Durant. Since 2004, the parishioners of this parish have had a second collection. Since 2004. Every blessed Sunday they come, they place a second collection, which is sometimes approximately, let's say it's just about $1,000 approximately. Over the year, that amounts to about $70,000. And so over these years, it has helped considerably to do the work. But I want to say thank you to all those donors and all those people who have sponsored, all the businesses who have helped in any way over these many years. I mean, I've come in simply in 2017 and I've been trying to see how we can continue working on the building. But yeah, many people have given a lot, and they sometimes buy tickets for our Christmas, family fun days, other events, the recent Flavors of the World, international food festivals, and many different kinds of events for fundraising over the number of years. So I really want to say thank you very much to those people who have contributed so generously. I mean, local contributions, this is from Dominicans, is $7.5 million, approximately. We have received over 20 years, not 20 years, sorry, 12 years.
Because you did say, just to refresh my memory and those of our viewers,
right.
You did say somewhat $14 million have been raised so far, or have been spent so far?
About 11, 12. Yeah.
So $7 million of that
Correct.
has come
from local donations. So, for example, I mean, Bishop Malzer published a few books during that time, and we were able to raise, and he generously contributed those funds to the cathedral renovation, and that amounted to about over $300,000. Right? We have been taking Lenten, so this collection is a Lenten collection. Over the years, we've taken Lenten collections, and for 2022 and 23, we raised $267,000. That's from the entire diocese during Lent in those 2 years. And other local fundraisers, have yielded, about $6 million. When the project started, the government of Dominica did make a contribution of $500,000 to the project. So yes.
So essentially,
and let me say this as well. This is very important for your listeners to hear. The project itself, while these funds were raised, there was need as well to take a loan to bring the project to a certain level, because after a while things started slowing down and have slowed down tremendously. So there was need to take a loan of about $3.8 million.
so the diocese took
The diocese had taken that loan a few years ago, and we have started repaying that loan. So imagine, you and your viewers, your listeners, that the diocese has to pay, over the years, have paid $30,000 a month in repayment, interest and capital and so on. Many of you know how you have to pay back your mortgages and so on, and how that can be sometimes difficult. But the diocese had to come up with that every single month to pay back. And so these funds that come in slowly but surely, they are important in the repayment of that loan. We were just recently able to, because of the difficult situation that we are in now, we've had to renegotiate that loan. So the diocese now pays back about $15,000 a month, just from maybe about the last couple months.
So at this stage, you spent, say, approximately $12 million.
Right.
You need another 2.6 million.
US.
And US, okay, US, and you have already explained in a very detailed manner what has the various phases that have taken place, what has happened,
Right.
what needs to be done, what else needs to be done.
Well, first of all, the next major work that is necessary is to do the ceiling. And that will probably cost approximately maybe $1 million EC dollars. Approximately, I'm not completely sure, but about that. And then, of course, what needs to be done, the insides need to be done. So all the interior work needs to be done. And as your viewers and you know, sometimes that's where a lot of money is spent, on the finishings. All the windows with the stained glass need to be replaced. So, and stained glass work and the jalousies, louvers, or the little louvers and so on that we used to have, that is a cost as well.
So in addition to the stained glass, you also mentioned putting hurricane shutters, right? So
The hurricane shutters are the shutters on the outside,
outside,
right?
right.
But then you need windows on the inside,
That's right.
And the part of the window on the top half of the window would be where you would have to do the frame for the stained glass. So all around was where you had stained glass on the top. And so all that the stained glass has been stored away since 2012.
So you already have that?
Well, it was stored away. I mean, it's from the cathedral itself.
Okay. Yes, I got you, yeah.
So that has to be reinstalled. But they need frames. They need new frames and new windows. So the ceiling, windows, a new flooring system. So, tiles, and we have to figure out what best flooring system we can have that would be dignified and beautiful, respectful of the space that we are constructing. And then, of course, you have painting, and the choir loft has to be redone. The organ has to be refurbished and put in a way that will be able to play, where it will be able to play again. You have we have two large murals that are over 100 years old. They were painted by a Belgian brother of the Congregation of the Most Holy Redeemer, and they are precious. These two murals, they depict Jesus' entry into Jerusalem, which we will celebrate on Sunday, Palm Sunday, and the flight into Egypt. They were done in 1902, so they're over 100 years old. They need to be restored and safeguarded as part of the patrimony that we have, here. So these are painting, and then all the other woodwork, finishing, and so on need to be electricals and audio. That needs to be done as well. So all that would the approximate cost of 2.6 million US dollars.
All right. What about the benches? Are you going to go back to the wooden benches?
Well, again, all that depends on how.
Have you decided on what?
All that depends
right?
on how much money we have. If we don't have the money yet, we better sit on what we have.
Okay, well, Father Karam, I mean, it seems to me that a lot has been accomplished, huh? I mean, and a lot has been spent, but the amount that you're asking for now, 2.6 million, is a lot less than what has been spent. So much has been accomplished, and I would think at this stage, you're hoping that that money will come in as quickly as possible. If you get the 2.6 million dollars, do you have any indication as to how much time it will take to complete the project?
If we had the $2.6 million today or tomorrow, I think we could finish in 9 months. I would hope that we could finish in 9 months.
And a lot of people build, and I think it's almost the norm nowadays that people move into their homes before it is complete, and they do the finishing, touches there. Is it possible that something like this could happen with the cathedral? I know, for example, it was used for the ordination of Bishop Forbes.
Well, as a matter of fact, the work that you see taking place now is in an effort to move in as quickly as possible. So we will be using the cathedral, if not daily, at least weekly. That is the hope in the very near future. So yes.
Okay. So, well, thanks for all of the information that you've given, and hopefully, it's been said, the information has been given many times before. Perhaps not every aspect of what you've said has been as detailed before, but nonetheless, there has been information flow in that regard. It is our hope that a lot of people who have not been privy to this type of information will have heard, and it will help them to make an informed decision about their contribution or their ability or their desire to contribute to the project. But what would you finally want to say to our viewers?
The last thing I want to say is to your viewers is this. As I've said before, thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the donations that you have made, if you've made them already. We are concerned about the building as a national building and as a significant building for our diocese and as a church. And what I'd like to say to people is that there are 15 parishes in Dominica, ecclesiastical parishes, that is. But it's one diocese, it's one church, right? We have one bishop. There's one Savior, Jesus Christ, right? And so I just want to invite all the members of the different parishes to really consider their contribution to the cathedral, because anybody who comes to Roseau, this is their home, this is their church, this is where you can come to say a prayer, to light a candle, to express your heart to God, to build your relationship with God. And the truth is, as concerned as I am for the building, I'm more concerned as well for the welfare and the spiritual well-being of our people. So the first thing I want to do is to invite all your viewers who are here in Dominica to make sure you participate in the services for Holy Week and the masses that are going to be offered in your parish. And if you're not in your parish, then you are most welcome to join us here on Sunday for Palm Sunday. We have one mass at 8 o'clock, and then on Wednesday we have the Chrism Mass at 5, and then Thursday, Holy Thursday, the Mass of the Lord's Supper at 7 p.m. Friday morning we take that traditional Good Friday walk where we walk in the footsteps of Jesus and feel and experience the suffering that he went through doing the Stations of the Cross up from Roseau to Mont Bruce. And then we come back at 3 p.m. for the commemoration of the Lord's Passion. And then Holy Saturday night, we come here for 10 p.m. For the Easter Vigil, the most beautiful service that the church has, the most beautiful Mass that the church has during its entire liturgical year. If you haven't experienced one, you need to experience it this year. So we begin at 10 o'clock, and of course on Easter Sunday morning we have Mass at 9. But I say this because I want to reach out to a number of our Catholics and Christians in general and say to us that we need to take our spiritual life a little bit more seriously. There are a lot of people who are hurting. There are a lot of people who are in grief. There are a lot of people who are finding that life, the meaning in life is a bit, it's tough. It's tough. And for people with financial difficulties, people with difficulties with their children. But a lot of times people stay home and on a Sunday morning they find all kinds of different things to do, whether it's for the men, it's to go and play football or dominoes, or for the women, that's the day morning they want to do their washing and so on, or just to take a day to relax. Sunday morning Mass or Mass over the weekend, praising God, is giving us that opportunity to lift our minds and hearts up and out of all what we have experienced throughout the week, to thank God for what we have, and to ask God's blessing for the week ahead. And I really want to just emphasize the whole theme for this year for the church is being pilgrims of hope. And that's what the church offers. That's what the community of faith offers, hope. Hope in this life and hope for eternal life. That we can find the perseverance by the strength of Jesus Christ to overcome the obstacles that we experience here on earth, and then finally to meet and to face Jesus at the end of our times and to experience that great love of His. That is my overall concern, Mr. Dura. That is my overall concern for us as a people in Dominica, that we look at things more deeply, that we not just experience life on the surface, going to work, coming back home, doing the laundry, feeding, all these are important, but then God is speaking through us through all these things. And we need to be able to understand and to interpret what God is saying to us when His word is proclaimed, and to receive the sustenance that He gives us, that nourishment in the Eucharist, to receive that for our daily life, for building our spiritual life, for building our spiritual heart and our soul. And so I just want to encourage more and more people, and especially parents. I visit the schools and I ask the children, did you go to Mass on Sunday? Invariably, in a whole school, maybe sometimes half go to Mass on a Sunday. I can't blame the children. The parents are the ones who need to set the example, fathers and mothers. And I think for the church in Dominica, we want to encourage families and individuals and young people and young adults, young professionals, bus drivers, police officers, nurses, doctors, to start returning to their faith, to connect again with that, as some of the young people say, the higher power. To connect again with God, to connect with His Son, Jesus Christ, that we may have what we need, the sustenance that we need for this life. Because I know a lot of people are in difficulty, a lot of people are hurting, and sometimes they don't know where to turn because they've forgotten that that's why the church exists. That's why Jesus established His church for us, for our upliftment, for our healing, for our sustenance as we journey through life. So that's the final word I want to leave with your viewers and your listeners.
Thank you very much, Father Karam. The information that you gave on the repair and reconstruction of the church, the cathedral, was very useful. Is very useful, I think, to many people, and hopefully they can act on that. But the spiritual message that you delivered is even more potent. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you very much, Mr. Joan. Thank you to your viewers. God bless you, everyone. Have a blessed Holy Week next week, and be sure to attend Mass.
Thank you. Well, that's it. Live from the Roseau Cathedral, we're talking with Father Nigel Karam, and we thank you for joining us.